If you're shooting real estate but dreaming of working with architects, designers, and luxury homes, here's the hard truth. You don't transition into architectural photography by getting better at real estate. You transition by rebuilding how you think, how you shoot, and how you position your work. And today I'm going to show you step by step how to make that transition intentionally. Because architectural photography isn't just shooting better real estate, it's a completely different business. By the way, if you want a great resource to help you get started today, a completely free PDF guide, I've put together the Real Estate to Architecture Transition Guide that breaks down what to change, what to keep, and what to stop doing immediately. You'll find the link in the description below, along with some other great resources. If you're new here, I'm William Widman. I've been a professional photographer for over 16 years, shooting a range of architectural projects, high-end residential, commercial, interiors, hospitality, educational institutions, and much more. Like many photographers, I started in real estate photography. I didn't leap into architecture, I transitioned into it. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear mindset change from real estate vendor to architecture creative partner, a practical roadmap that you can start using immediately, and a way to evaluate your own work through an architect's eyes. Most photographers hit the same wall. As a real estate photographer, you've mastered speed. Get in, get out, you know lighting well enough, and you're consistent. But the work still feels disposable. That's because it is. Real estate photos only last as long as an MLS listing. You want to shoot projects that matter, work with clients who care, and create images that live longer than a listing. This was exactly where I was. I was tired of the hustle and grind, realtors that expected everything and wanted to pay nothing. And most importantly, I wanted to be photographing amazing buildings and spaces, creating stunning imagery that I could be proud of and people would just say, wow. The problem isn't your effort, it's your alignment. You need to be in alignment with how you see yourself as a photographer, in alignment with the type of work you want to create. So I'm going to talk about the 9 steps to help you make the successful transition from real estate photographer, a vendor, to professional architecture photographer, a trusted creative partner. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with step number 1. Step number 1, replace the speed mindset with a craft or intention mindset. As we all know, in real estate photography, the job is to document a space efficiently, which is to say to get in and get out as fast as possible. Real estate photography rewards speed, in and out, batch shooting. Good enough is good enough. So as a real estate photographer, you're asking very different questions than a professional architecture photographer would be asking. You're asking questions like, how many rooms to photograph? How much time do I have to get all the listing photos? What angles cover the most information? And typically, you're primarily using a wide-angle lens to capture everything. That mindset works well for real estate photography, but it absolutely works against architecture photography. In real estate photography, you show everything. In architectural photography, it's the complete opposite. One image might take 30 to 90 minutes to create. You're refining your composition, you're adjusting light, sometimes just by inches, you're watching reflections, you're waiting for the right balance. If you rush it, it shows, and architects will see that immediately. In architecture photography, it's all about intention. You decide what matters in an image. Just as important is exclusion. You don't have to show everything. In fact, most of the time, you don't want to show everything. As you walk into a space, let's say an interior space, there are some fundamental questions to ask yourself when evaluating and assessing your composition. Okay, so here's a practical application for you. On your next shoot, slow down and treat one frame like a portfolio image, not just a deliverable. Stand in the space and verbally explain out loud what the image should include. If you can't explain it, you're not ready to shoot it from an architecture photography perspective. So let's recap step one. It's vital to replace the speed mindset of a real estate photographer with the intentional mindset of a professional architecture photographer. Okay, let's move on to step two. Okay, step number two. Lighting becomes structural, formative, not just decorative. In real estate photography, lighting is often used just to fix a scene. You might be correcting dark corners, window contrast, uneven exposures. The goal in real estate photography is neutrality, to just brighten a scene and reduce depth. In contrast, architectural lighting is all about control. You might be using multiple off-camera lights. You're shaping the light, not just blasting it. You're accenting materials and form, and you're managing color temperature intentionally. In architectural photography, lighting is used to shape a scene, to describe form, and create depth. Lighting becomes a design tool in itself. That can be natural light or it can be artificial light. Architectural lighting doesn't remove shadows, it uses them. So here's a few examples of how light and shadow play an important role in creating beautiful imagery. For example, a wood ceiling might need a gentle raking of light to reveal texture. A stone wall may need side lighting to show depth and texture. On the other side, a white wall may need less light so it doesn't dominate the frame. In architecture photography, light is used to accentuate what's already there or overpower the natural light and replace it with intentional artificial light. Each light used to capture an image should have a purpose. Okay, step number three. Composition shifts from coverage to communication. When you move from real estate photography to professional architecture photography, one of the biggest shocks is this. Composition is no longer just about making a room look good. It's about communicating design with precision and intent. Real estate photography is designed to sell a space quickly. Architectural photography is designed to interpret and represent design intentionally. There's a completely different level of expectation. Architects, designers, and developers care deeply about vertical precision, balance and symmetry, spatial relationships, and how design intent is communicated. And here's the key shift. They're not looking at your image as a photo. They're reading it like a drawing. They're analyzing whether your composition respects the architecture design intent. What feels acceptable in real estate becomes a deal breaker in architecture photography. In architectural photography, spatial relationships matter more than coverage. Real estate prioritizes coverage. How much of the room can I fit into a single shot? Architecture prioritizes relationships. How do elements interact within a space? That means the foreground, the midground, and the background must be intentional. Objects should relate to each other visually. Balance and symmetry. Architectural composition often revolves around intentional balance. But here's the mistake transitioning photographers make. They think symmetry means just centering the shot, but that's not always the case. Architectural balance can be perfect symmetry, intentional asymmetry, weighted composition, and controlled negative space. Your job is to ask, what is the design trying to say? Then compose your image to communicate that. Okay, so here's a practical exercise. Before setting up your camera, stop and ask, what is the visual anchor in this space? Where does the design want my eyes to go? Is this space meant to feel balanced or dynamic? Should I center this or should I offset it? In real estate, it would say, show the room. In architecture, it says, interpret the design. Okay, let's move on to step number 4. Okay, here we are at step number 4. Lens choice is a design decision, and this is a big one. Real estate photographers often live at 14 to 16 millimeter lengths in a full frame equivalent. Architectural photographers often prefer 17 to 24 millimeters and frequently even longer focal lengths. Why? Because wider lenses distort proportions and cheapen luxury spaces. Architects notice immediately, even if they can't explain why. Ultra-wide lenses are common in real estate because they solve 3 primary problems: tight spaces, small rooms, limited access. But in architectural photography, lens choice communicates intent. Wide lenses exaggerate space, longer lenses compress space. So, when you're assessing a space for composition, here's the biggest mindset shift you need to make. Before you even set up your camera, ask yourself, what is this image about? What is the design intent? What must be communicated? And what can be excluded? Architectural photography is not about showing everything. It's about showing the right thing in the right way for the right reason. Okay, let's move on to step number 5. Okay, step number 5. Your portfolio is either helping you or it's hurting you. It's all about alignment. You say you want architectural clients, but your portfolio still screams MLS listings. Architects do not hire potential, they hire proof. This is where most real estate photographers trying to transition to architectural photography, this is where they stall. You may want architectural clients, but your portfolio communicates something else. It communicates real estate. When architects are reviewing a portfolio, they aren't evaluating your technical ability, meaning they aren't evaluating how well you know how to use a camera. They're evaluating things like your aesthetic, the style and look of your images. A portfolio filled with realtor-driven compositions, which means shooting wide from the corner, over-stylized lighting, which is flat, one-dimensional, with no depth, speed aesthetics, that tells them that you as a photographer do not yet understand their priorities from a design perspective. Again, each client type, whether it's an architect, a developer, interior designer, have a completely different perspective and priorities for what they want to accomplish with the imagery. Okay, let's move on to step number 6. Okay, step number 6. Architectural clients hire process, not talent. Understand that client expectations change considerably. One of the biggest mistakes photographers make when transitioning into architectural work is assuming that if my images get better, clients will just get better. That's not how it works. Architectural clients don't just expect better photos, they expect a different working relationship. So the photography becomes one part of a larger creative process. If you don't understand this shift, you can have strong images and still not get hired or not get rehired. So let's break down what actually changes. Real estate clients want speed. Architectural clients want intentional planning. Real estate photography is built around efficiency. The real estate agent wants a quick booking, fast turnaround, predictable coverage, and minimal back and forth. You show up, you shoot, and you deliver. Architectural photography rarely works that way. Before the camera comes out, there's usually a conversation. That conversation may include things like, what is the project being used for? Is it for a website, awards publications? What spaces matter most? What time of day is ideal for shooting? Are there staging or styling considerations? Are there construction limitations? You're not just documenting a space, you're helping communicate a design. That means pre-production becomes part of your value. Real estate clients want low cost. Architectural clients want reliability and judgment. In real estate, pricing pressure is constant. Speed and cost are tied together. In architectural work, clients are less concerned with price alone and more concerned with things like, can you deliver consistently? Do you understand design? Will you represent the project well? And will you be easy to collaborate with? They're trusting you with something that may have taken years to design and build. Architectural clients are evaluating your communication, your preparation, your professionalism, your decision making long before they evaluate your final images. This is process. It shows a level of understanding and professionalism that is expected in the professional architecture photography world. Not only will it help you assess your approach to the project, it'll help you with things like cost estimates. Those questions signal professionalism immediately to an architectural client. It shows that you know what you're doing. It shows that you are a professional. Start thinking in terms of hero images and not just coverage. Ask which images will matter most in 5 years. If you begin approaching shoots that way right now, even for smaller projects, you'll naturally start producing work that aligns with architectural expectations. Real estate timelines are fixed. Architectural timelines are flexible, but they're strategic. Real estate timelines are usually very tight. You shoot today, you deliver tomorrow, and the listing goes live. Architectural timelines are often slower, but they're more deliberate. Real estate usage is simple. Architectural usage is ongoing and multi-layered. In real estate, image usage is straightforward. In architectural photography, images may be used for several different things: websites, social media, award submissions, magazines, marketing materials, and even future projects. Start separating in your mind the cost to create images, the value of how they're used. You don't have to have perfect pricing just yet, but you do need to understand that architectural images live longer and they travel further. Collaboration becomes part of the job. This might be the biggest shift you'll make. In real estate, collaboration is minimal. The agents just trust you to handle it, you move quickly, and then you deliver. In architectural photography, collaboration is expected. The big takeaway here: when you transition into architectural photography, your role will expand. You're no longer just a technician, you're a collaborator, an interpreter, a visual strategist. The photography still matters, and it matters a lot, but so does everything else around it. Your communication, your planning, your understanding image usage, your professional structure. The photographers who succeed in this transition aren't just better photographers, they're better creative partners. Okay, so let's move on to step number 7. Okay, here we are at step number 7, architectural pricing, why it's different and why it matters. One of the biggest misconceptions about architectural photography pricing is that architectural photographers charge more simply because they want to make more. Architectural photography is priced differently because the images are used differently. They live longer, they travel further, and they carry a lot more responsibility. So let's break down what that actually means. Images live longer. Real estate images have a short lifespan. They go up with the listing, they sell the property, and then they disappear. Architectural images are different. They may be used for several different reasons. They might be part of an architect's website for years to come, in award submissions, in marketing materials, in presentation to future clients, and in publications. These images become part of how the firm represents itself. In some cases, they're used for a decade or more. Okay, here we are at step number 8. Editing shifts from impact to integrity. When photographers move from real estate into architectural work, one of the last things they adjust is their editing style. And it's usually the thing that will give away their work quickly. Because real estate editing and architectural editing are built around different goals. Real estate editing prioritizes impact. Architectural editing prioritizes integrity. That sounds subtle, but it changes everything. Architectural editing prioritizes accuracy. Architects and designers care deeply about materials and color relationships. They will notice whether wood tones feel natural, whether concrete looks believable, whether paint color matches reality, and whether lighting feels consistent. If the edit shifts those relationships too far, the image stops representing the design accurately. When an architectural image is edited well, the viewer's attention goes to the design and not the edit. Okay, so here's a big takeaway. Strong architectural editing doesn't draw attention to itself. It supports the design, it supports the materials, it supports the light, and it supports the intent of the space. When you shift your editing from how can I make this pop to how can I make this feel true, your work will start aligning more naturally with what architects and designers expect. And often, that shift in editing style is one of the final steps that makes your portfolio feel credible to architectural clients. Okay, let's move on to step number 9, the final step to your successful transition from real estate to architectural photographer. Okay, here we are at step number 9. The transition is psychological before it's technical. This is the part almost no one prepares you for. When photographers decide they want to move from real estate into architectural work, they usually focus on the technical side. Things like better lighting, better composition, better gear, and better editing. Those things matter, and they matter a lot, but the real transition starts somewhere else. It starts in your head. It's a mindset shift. Because moving from real estate photography into architectural photography isn't just a technical upgrade. It's a shift in how you measure progress, how you define success, and how you see your own work. And that shift can feel uncomfortable. Most photographers don't feel fully ready when they take the first steps into architectural photography. Confidence usually follows action, not the other way around. Okay, so here's the truth. Architectural photography isn't about being better. It's about being more intentional. When your mindset shifts, your work will follow. So now you should understand why speed is killing your quality, why your lighting needs purpose, why composition is intentional, why your editing style needs subtlety, and what your portfolio actually says about you. You also know that your pricing needs structure, clients need clarity, your brand needs consistency, and your mindset needs elevation. If you want help implementing this, get the free Real Estate to Architecture Photography Guide. Also, if you're interested in going deeper, I have several additional resources available as well. You can access the free guide and the additional resources using the link below in the description. This framework that I've outlined in this video is exactly how I transitioned and how other photographers have moved into architectural work without underpricing or burning out. Closer than you think. You don't need permission. You don't need new gear. You need a clear direction and consistent execution. You've got what it takes to become a successful professional architectural photographer. Now, let's go build something better, one frame at a time.